Hello everyone, this is Priyanka. Welcome to my channel Priyanka's IT School, and today I'm sharing new tutorial on software testing. Today let's understand concept of retesting and regression testing. So basic agenda for today's session is like what is exactly concept of change based testing type and difference between retesting and regression testing. So guys, very first, software testing is an integral part of software development life cycle. During multiple phase of software development life cycle, multiple kind of testing are performed, right? So every stage of SDLC has a different set of requirements and different objective. And that is the reason testing is divided into multiple levels, right? And these levels we can define as simple like unit testing followed by integration testing, then we have a system testing, and then acceptance testing. During each phase, and I can say levels of this testing, if something does not work as per the requirement, then that particular test case or that particular process we can simply refer as defect detection, right? So whenever we found a defect, then basically defect detected by tester, right? And whenever we found a defect, these defect are need to raise and assign to developer for fixing purpose. So here this beautiful concept, okay, change based testing type, here this beautiful concept change based testing type comes into the picture. And this change based testing type means retesting and regression testing. So let's understand what is exactly retesting. So guys, whenever, okay, why change based testing type? Because see, whenever developer fix the defect, and that means developer change some part of the code, right, to fix that problem. So whenever developer fix the defect or bug, then retesting is done to make sure that defect is fixed and fail functionality is working fine, right, as per expected result. So whenever defect are fixed, they are retested by tester to assure it works as desired. So what is retesting? If someone asks you like explain retesting, then retesting is a process where a tester can verify whether defect is properly fixed or not by developer team, right? So retesting is conducted after every defect fix, right? Let me explain this concept with a diagram. So what is exactly retesting? See, whenever any module is developed by developer and whenever we simply test that module, after testing we'll definitely found a defect, right? So this is what we can detect the defect, and whatever the defect we found, we can simply log this defect. So this process is done by tester. After this, what happened? Basically, whenever we log the defect, right, developer has to fix that particular defect. And after this defect fix, simple retesting activity or retesting process is conducted by tester. So what is the main objective in retesting? Retesting, basically it is a process to ensure that defect is properly fixed by developer team, right, and that functionality is working as per expected result. Okay, so basically after every defect fix we can simply perform retesting process, and that is the reason guys retesting is also referred as confirmation testing. In a very simple manner, what exactly activity we can do in retesting? Then I can say in retesting our main intention is to whatever the failed test cases we have, that failed test cases we need to re-execute, right? I can say we need to re-execute those failed test cases, and to become, I mean to say we need to simply make them or make those test cases as a past, right? So failed test cases, on every failed test cases we can re-execute that test cases to simply make it pass, right? So this process is called retesting. In retesting, this is what I can say the basic form you can understand, like what is retesting and where we can conduct. So every failed test cases we can simply re-execute it and we can simply retest it, right, to make it pass. This process is called retesting. Now, what is exactly the regression testing concept? There is another type. This is called again a change based testing type. This is called regression testing. What is this regression testing? See, regression testing is a process to validate whether any change has been impacted on unchanged module or unchanged areas of the software or not. Basically, regression testing is conducted to verify side effect of the changes. Regression testing ensure that any modification to the existing code functionality has not adversely impacted the previous developed and tested feature. So whenever there is a change in the software application, let's say add new pro module, add something, delete something, delete any feature, update any particular feature, data migration task, okay, anything change in the code, right? Then simply we can go for regression testing process, okay? So regression, whenever we have any update in a software application, we can simply go for regression testing. Now in this regression testing, basically our main intention is like we can conduct functional plus non-functional test, right? And basically in this functional non-functional test, whenever we execute a software application, we can simply go for this both change based testing type, retesting and regression testing. Let me just explain this concept with the agile development process. Like see, whenever we want to develop a software application in agile in multiple sprint, right? So how we can develop that application, and in final delivery of the product in agile, how regression testing is conducted. So basically consider this is a sprint number 1 where we develop and tested module number 1. So all the unit test cases and development, all this, the part is completed for sprint 1. Now whenever sprint 1 is ready, developer will simply deploy this module for production environment, in a production environment. And then suppose we have a sprint number 2. So sprint number 2 is nothing but just a combination of module number 1 plus module number 2. So here after unit test cases, we need to conduct integration, right? Integration of module number 1 with module number 2. And yes, definitely whenever we add something, and if you have something in a module number 2 changes, right? Simple, in a one sprint we are adding something, that means we need to conduct what? Regression testing. Again the same thing, whenever we have sprint number 3, it is again a combination of module number 1 plus 2 plus 3, and this is a way, okay, so on. I can say this is a way we can simply add multiple sprint in your software development, right? And we can simply prepare a test cases and we can execute those test cases. But whenever we need to update anything in a software application, we can simply go for regression testing process. So regression testing, I can say it's a one kind of testing that need to be repeated multiple times, right? So basically for any update in the code, database, any kind of backend process, right? Anything, we can simply go for regression testing process. It could be before, every release, when I can say complete regression testing need to be done, or after every change is done to the code, okay, in the form of partial regression testing. So the main objective of regression testing is to check that the code or new code change do not negatively impact the existing developed and tested functionalities of the software application. Okay, so in regression testing, we test past test cases, right, for its correctness. So whenever there are changes are occur in the software application, regression testing is the best solution. Okay, but for now, one more question is there, right? Like what kind of testing technique we generally follow in regression testing? So guys, basically in regression testing, what we need to do, so we first prioritize our test cases, okay? The first thing is prioritize test cases. So whatever test cases you want to execute, right, re-execute, right, all those test cases we need to prioritize. So what is this concept? See, based on what I can say, the time frame or business risk, right, tester can take a call on how much regression is required. So while running high priority test cases to ensure just to end-to-end coverage would be sufficient to find new code break. And that is the reason, first we need to perform prioritization of test cases for regression testing. Whenever this process is complete, then we can simply re-execute all the test cases, right? This is the process where we can simply re-execute all the test cases, right? I can say test cases. Right. Now, what is the concept of, re-execution? So this is a technique usually applied when the entire code is, migrated to the different language, or there is a major update in the backend process, okay, backend system. So like basically now when we need to re-execute all the test cases, right? So this is a time, okay, I can say whenever we need to perform this process like manually, so this is a time consuming process, and that is the reason, guys, whenever regression testing is need to be performed by tester, automation is best solution. We can simply automate, okay, we can simply automate our test cases, we can prepare a test script, and using those test script we can simply complete or fulfill our test case execution activity. So basically for regression testing, automation is the best solution. We can automate test cases in regression, right? And in this way regression test case and relevant areas impacted due to the change is identified by the tester and re-execute, okay, just to identify that is there any test case impacted on unchanged areas or unchanged module. Okay, so regression testing is performed on existing functionalities that have been tested before. So after every release, whenever there is a change, we can simply go for regression testing. And again, manually it's very time consuming process, right? That is the reason regression testing is possible using automation testing. Again guys, in this IT market there are so many tools available for regression testing. So we can perform regression testing using Selenium tool, then we have some Test Sigma, Catalan, then regression tester. These kind of tools are available in the market just to conduct regression testing. What is a major role in regression testing? I can say in regression we need to focus on pass test cases, right, to make it pass, or to just ensure that the test case is passed after changes, after occur changes in that test case. Now still your test case is passed. But in retesting, in a simple manner, we simply concentrate on failed test case to make it pass, right? This is called regression and retesting process and difference. Now let's understand in like a like what is exactly the difference between regression and retesting in little bit deep manner. So what is this? See, retesting is done to make sure that the test case which failed in the last execution are passed after the defect are fixed, right? But regression testing is to ensure that changes have not affected unchanged areas of the software. Retesting is carried out after every defect fix, but regression testing is carried out after every modification in the software. In terms of module update, in terms of build update, we can simply go for regression testing. For retesting, specific plan strategy is required, sorry, not required, but for regression testing, we require specific, strategy and plan. Retesting is done on every, failed test case, but regression testing is done on past test case, right? Test cases cannot be automated in retesting, and in regression testing we can automate test cases. So again, there is one more question asked during the interview, like what is the difference between sanity testing and regression testing? I have already explained the concept of sanity testing, so please follow my previous videos, right? But what is the difference between sanity? I can say sanity is a subset of regression testing. Okay, in regression we need to simply focus on the complete software application, all the test cases along with that module or build update. But in sanity, like whenever we have some minor change in that build, then only that particular minor change we can simply concentrate in sanity testing. So sanity, like when we can go for sanity testing, whenever we have a minor update in a change, sanity testing is the solution. But regression testing, whenever we have any update in a software, if suppose your customer adds something, remove something from the software or update something, we can go for regression testing. Okay, so sanity, we cannot automate test cases, okay, in sanity. That means automation, it's not possible for sanity test cases. But for regression, automation is possible, and we generally follow automation testing just to conduct regression testing, right? We can write a test cases, we can collect the test cases which we need to automate, right, for regression testing, and after any update in the software, we can simply go for regression testing. So that's all for this video guys. Stay tuned, stay safe. Thank you everyone.